So I'm talking to you about examining the role of a CTO. So how many of you guys have core values in your company? How many of you can recite all of them? Oh, no, it's not working. Okay, I can do this over here. So one of the few female CEOs in the world gave this great quote, and no, I'm not a feminazi, so don't worry about that. But I think this is a great quote. Culture is the glue that holds an organization together. It helps guide all the decisions, how you behave and act. You can pick whatever strategy you want, but how you go about doing it is the difference between oftentimes success and failure. Now, that is absolutely perfect, I think, to describe what culture does for a company. And the CEO defines the vision for the company. However, it is oftentimes led up to the CTO, CSO, CIO, chief architect, whatever it is called in your company, to be the person who designs that. So the CEO gets to just come and say, all right, this is what we're doing, now do it. Now who's used to that? Come on. All right, so in order for it to be a real value, like in order for it to be useful, it has to be these four things. It needs to be authentic. So if it's not true, then it's of no use to anyone. If it's not available, if you can't actually talk about it, then again, it's not a useful value. If you don't hold yourself accountable to it and your company accountable to it, then it's not a useful value either. And if it's not actionable, if it's not something that you and everyone in your company are living and breathing and doing every day, then those are not core values for your company. So everything in your company that is a core value should be all of those four things. And if they don't feel right to you, then they are not core values of your company, or something is wrong. So we're going to look right now at some examples of companies that are doing things right with their values. In the first section here, we're going to look through product design, how it's coming through, how their CTOs or their engineering teams have been guided through to show it in the design. For Google, one of their core values is it's best to do one thing really, really well. Now, this comes through in the design here. Can you see how perfect that shows the value? Any customer coming to that page doesn't need to know in words that Google has that value. They feel it. They understand it. Their team lives that value. Who here uses rackspace? Yeah, a lot of you. Rackspace, they're kind of bare bones company. Results first, substance over flash. That's a core value of rackspace, and that's why a lot of us choose them. This is actually on their website. It's not a very happy, shiny picture because they're engineers, but it tells you exactly what their value is. Results, not flash. HP, we are the technology company that invents the useful and the significant. The useful and the significant. I bet you have at least one of these things at home right now. At least one. IBM, innovation that matters for our company and for the world. That's a big value to live up to. Their CIO, man, can you imagine the CEO going to him, come on, you have to matter to the world. I'd be like, can I get another job? Watson, I'd love to work on that project. Twitter. Reach every person on the planet. How do you measure that? Analytics. Building it in. Well, yeah, I mean, you can say you're going to reach everyone on the planet, but how do you prove it? They keep building more and more analytics every rollout. Facebook. Be open. Who here has built Open Graph into any other products here? You know everything that's going on with everything anywhere around the world to anyone that's using Facebook. I mean, while I'm sitting here, I'm sure somebody is playing something on Spotify and it's telling me in my phone. So Facebook is open and it's built into the product. This is good design. This is value in design. Buffer. Live smarter, not harder. Who uses Buffer? All right. Have you seen the clipper for Buffer? You don't even need to go into the product. Buffer thought, how can you live smarter? You don't even need to use our product. You don't need to go to our website. You can just, while you're in a page, right-click something, and this will pop up. That is smarter. That is the kind of innovation by living your values that you will get. So as CTOs and CIOs, you need to think this way and drive your team, inspire them to come up with this kind of thing. Dell. Oh, sorry, wrong. Jumped ahead, sorry. So company infrastructure is another way that you can drive your design. Internally, for your teams, you need to inspire them to do these kinds of things. So Dell has a value of, we strive to make sure that everyone in any environment can take advantage of technology. Anyone know where I'm going with this one? No groans, so you don't actually. All right, they instituted a BYOD policy in 2012. For a company like Dell with tens of thousands of employees around the world, can you imagine what a headache this was? They spent years doing mobile tests and security tests and everything to figure out how perfectly they would be able to do the cell phone and laptop tests. Their CIO was able to figure out a way to make their employees happier, to give them their devices that they wanted, and now they are leading the pack worldwide in rollout plans for BYOD. And if you are trying to do that for your company, I recommend you go to Dell's site so you can have a good rollout plan. Zirtual, beautifully simple. If my CEO came to me and told me I had to figure out a value of beautifully simple and use that in my infrastructure, I would have a heart attack, because there's very few simple things when it comes to compliance and security and everything. But their CTO was a little more pragmatic about it. They have a distributed team of over 400 employees, and only 7 of them are in their headquarters. The rest of them are around the world working from home offices, which makes it even more ridiculous for beautifully simple. His idea, he distributed Chromebooks to all of them. Then he didn't have to worry about viruses getting installed. That was beautifully simple for Zirtual. But what happens if there's a crisis in the company? What happens as a CTO? How do you live the values through a crisis? At Apple, they have a value of, we don't settle for anything less than excellence. Oh, somebody knows where I'm going here. In every group in the company. And we have the self-honesty to admit when we're wrong and the courage to change. Did they admit they were wrong? They did not hold themselves accountable at first. The person who was in charge of this refused to admit he was wrong. And for that, he was let go. When you do not hold the company values, that is exactly what can happen. You can let down not just your company, but the world. The CEO of Apple was forced to tell people to use Google Maps instead of their own product because he had no faith in his own product. My own company, Evernote, we had a value. Your data, we do, they do. I'm not there anymore, but they still have a value. Your data is protected. Who uses Evernote? On a very scary day in 2013, we had to make the call to reset 50 million passwords. 4 hours after we discovered that we'd been breached, we made that call. And we decided, like after, in closed sessions, it was me, the CEO, and the CTO, and some ops members, that it was the right thing to do. We reset the passwords and then we told everybody. But we realized that if we didn't do this immediately, every second we waited, there was more of a chance that people would have cracked the accounts. We'd already failed by letting people get to the hashed passwords. However, we were not going to fail people and let anyone get into the accounts. By our quick action, we did not lose any data. No accounts were compromised. So by putting this all together, for core values in design, you must make sure that from your CEO or from your board of directors or whoever is giving it out, you understand the values. They are clearly defined and actionable, things that you can actually work with. Then develop them into the products. Make sure that you're working with them and that you can see them. They are clear as day when you're using them. Make sure that your organization is working through the values as well. And then, if something does go wrong, make sure that you hold yourself accountable to it right away. Do not be an Apple, be an Evernote. Any questions?